In a world full of secrets, few mysteries are as intriguing as those surrounding the figure of Jesus Christ. Imagine a gospel, an account that could change everything you know about him. This text, called the Lost Gospel, was banned by the Vatican, hidden in the shadows of a story that few know. But why was this gospel censored? What truths does it reveal that the Church doesn't want you to discover? While many believe the Bible is the final word, what else lies behind the pages? Apocryphal texts, often considered heretical, hold secrets that can illuminate obscure aspects of Jesus' life. What do these writings reveal about his teachings, his followers, and even his relationship with the divine? As the mysteries unfold, the story becomes more and more fascinating. The Lost Gospel is not just a curiosity, it is a key to understanding what really happened 2,000 years ago. Prepare for a journey of discovery, where each revelation can transform your view of faith, power, and truth. What does the Vatican not want you to know? At the time of Jesus, the religious and socio-political scenario was quite complex. The Roman Empire dominated the region of Judea, and this brought a mixture of cultural and religious influences. There were a diversity of groups, such as the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Essenes, each with their own interpretations of Jewish law. This plurality created a fertile environment for new ideas, including the teachings of Jesus. He wasn't just another preacher. His messages challenged established norms and attracted both followers and opponents. Followers of the early Christian movement circulated between different texts and interpretations, seeking to understand and propagate Jesus' messages. The first Christians did not have a single sacred book, and this generated a series of debates about the true essence of Christianity. Many of these texts were oral at first, and oral tradition played a crucial role in the formation of the first Christian communities. Stories and teachings were passed by word of mouth, which, on the one hand, facilitated the propagation of faith, but on the other, generated confusion and distortions. Social contexts also influenced how people interpreted Jesus' message. The promises of liberation and salvation resonated especially among those living under oppression. Thus, messianic expectations were high, and many saw Jesus as a central figure for social change. This environment of hope and uncertainty was conducive to new ideas emerging and spreading quickly. Furthermore, coexistence with pagan traditions and other philosophies of the time helped shape the thinking of the first Christians. Religious syncretism, the mixing of elements from different traditions, was a reality, and this influenced the way the Christian message was received. Therefore, the scenario was, in fact, a mosaic of beliefs and practices. This historical and cultural context is fundamental to understanding the genesis of Christianity and the reasons why certain texts and teachings gained prominence while others were left aside. When we analyze this background, it becomes clearer how diversity of ideas and the search for meaning permeated the lives of the first Christian communities. Apocryphal texts are a fascinating part of the history of Christianity. Among them, the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene stand out. These Gospels were not included in the New Testament, but they offer an alternative view of Jesus' teachings and the nature of Christianity. The Gospel of Thomas, for example, is a collection of sayings of Jesus that emphasize the personal quest for knowledge and enlightenment. This reflects a more mystical and introspective approach to faith. The relevance of these apocryphal texts goes beyond simple historical interest. They reveal the diversity of thought that existed among the first Christians. While some groups emphasized faith and salvation through grace, others, such as the Gnostics, sought a deeper, more personal knowledge of God. This variety of interpretations shows that early Christianity was not homogeneous, but rather a battlefield of ideas and beliefs. Furthermore, reading these texts can help us better understand doctrines that were eventually considered heretical. Why were some ideas accepted while others were rejected? By exploring the reasons behind the exclusion of certain Gospels, we begin to see how the history and politics of the early Church shaped Christian doctrine. This analysis allows us to reflect on what it means to be Christian and how different interpretations can coexist. The Apocrypha also offers us a window into the spiritual experiences of women in the early Church. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example, highlights the importance of Mary as a spiritual leader, which challenges the traditional view of Christianity dominated by male figures. This emphasis on the female voice is crucial to a more complete understanding of the history of Christianity. Therefore, apocryphal texts are not just historical curiosities, but valuable sources that help us understand the complexity of Christian beliefs. They invite us to question and explore what it means to live our faith in a world full of diverse voices and perspectives. The canonization of New Testament texts is a process that deserves to be explored. In early Christianity, there was a wide variety of writings circulating among communities. However, as time went by, the early church began to worry about the need to establish a set of texts considered sacred and authoritative. This move was not just a matter of choice. It involved intense debates and rigorous criteria. Church leaders evaluated which texts should be included in the New Testament based on certain guidelines. Authenticity and apostolicity were fundamental criteria. This meant that texts had to be attributed to apostles or people close to them. Furthermore, conformity to already established Christian doctrine was also an important factor. Texts that offered interpretations considered heretical were promptly excluded, which shows a clear desire to unify the Christian faith. Another interesting aspect of the canonization process is the role of the Vatican. Although the concept of a definitive canon has evolved over the centuries, the influence of the Roman Catholic Church in the formation of the New Testament canon has been significant. The Council of Carthage, for example, held at the end of the 4th century, helped to consolidate the list of texts that we know today. This formalization was an important step towards defining Christianity as we know it. The implications of this canonization process are profound. The exclusion of certain texts not only shaped doctrine, but also influenced the way people understood the figure of Jesus and his teachings. By accepting only a few Gospels, church leaders controlled the narrative about Jesus' life and message, which had a lasting impact on Christian beliefs. Thus, the process of canonization was not just a matter of selecting texts, but also of defining the identity and direction of Christianity. This choice reflected a desire to humify the faith, but it also raised questions about whose voices and perspectives were silenced along the way. Analyzing this process helps us better understand the roots of Christianity and the complexities that shaped its doctrines. Throughout the history of Christianity, the Vatican has played a crucial role in shaping official doctrine. The censorship of certain Gospels was not just a matter of choice of texts, but also a political and theological strategy that shaped Christian faith. Early church leaders feared that including texts considered heretical would create confusion among the faithful and undermine the authority of the church. Thus, the decision to ban certain Gospels was directly linked to the desire to maintain doctrinal unity. Furthermore, censorship was also linked to social control. The church, in its quest for power and influence, needed to ensure that the Christian message was clear and cohesive. Texts that presented different interpretations of Jesus and his teachings were seen as a threat to the stability of the church and, consequently, the social order of the time. Therefore, by banning these Gospels, the Vatican was not only protecting its position, but also shaping public perception of Christianity. Another relevant factor was the struggle for power between different currents of Christianity. At the time, various sects and groups presented their own interpretations of the Scriptures. The Vatican, by censoring certain texts, sought to eliminate competition and consolidate its authority. This power dynamic contributed to the Church establishing a canon that reflected its beliefs and interests, while ignoring or rejecting alternative views. It is important to highlight that censorship was not limited to texts. The Church also persecuted individuals who defended these other interpretations. Many thinkers and spiritual leaders have been silenced, and their ideas considered dangerous. This created an environment of fear where conformity became the norm, and any deviation from official doctrine was promptly punished. This censorship had a lasting impact on the formation of Christian theology. The banned texts, which could have offered a broader and more diverse view of spirituality, were excluded from the debate, leading to a more restricted understanding of the figure of Jesus and his teachings. Thus, Vatican censorship not only shaped doctrine, but also limited the rich tapestry of interpretations that could have emerged in Christianity. The theological implications of the censorship of certain Gospels are profound and complex. Texts that were banned often presented a different view of the figure of Jesus and his message. For example, the Gospel of Thomas proposes a more mystical and introspective perspective, suggesting that knowledge and truth are achieved through personal experience. This approach contrasts with the more institutional and dogmatic narrative that has become dominant in the Church. These Gospels also offer alternative views on salvation. While traditional Christianity emphasizes faith and grace, apocryphal texts often speak about the importance of knowledge and self-discovery. This difference in emphasis can fundamentally change the way believers understand their relationship with God and spirituality in general. The search for these hidden truths can open new paths to understanding faith. Furthermore, the exclusion of certain texts may have contributed to a limited view of spirituality. The emphasis on dogma and norms may have overshadowed the diversity of spiritual experiences that early Christians had. The richness of interpretations that could arise from the inclusion of apocryphal texts was suppressed, resulting in a spirituality that may seem monotonous to many. This generates reflection on what a more inclusive and comprehensive faith could be. Censorship also raised questions about religious authority. By banning texts and ideas, the Vatican established a standard of truth that became difficult to question. This can lead to distrust of the official interpretation, especially among those seeking a more personal and direct connection to spirituality. This distrust can provoke a desire to reevaluate and rediscover the roots of Christianity. Finally, the discussion about banned texts still resonates today. Many people are turning to these forgotten works in search of a deeper and more diverse understanding of Christianity. This search reveals a desire for a spirituality that welcomes different perspectives, allowing believers to explore the richness of the Christian tradition without the limitations imposed by censorship. The analysis of lost or banned texts brings to light relevant and current questions about the Christian faith. Nowadays, many people seek to better understand the roots of their beliefs and the history of Christianity. Studies on apocryphal texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas and others, help to illuminate the diversity of thoughts that existed in the early days of Christianity. This search for knowledge has generated heated discussions between scholars and believers who try to reconcile these discoveries with their personal beliefs. Furthermore, the rediscovery of ancient texts also raises questions about the authority of the Church. Many people wonder, why were certain texts excluded from the New Testament? This doubt leads to a more critical examination of the doctrines that have been established over the centuries. What was once seen as unquestionable dogma is now placed in a new light, allowing scholars and lay people alike to reflect on what it really means to be a Christian. Debates about spirituality are similarly influenced by these findings. Texts that contain teachings not officially recognized offer alternative perspectives on the life of Jesus and his message. This has attracted those who are in search of a more inclusive and pluralistic spirituality, capable of dialoguing with different religious and philosophical traditions. The idea that there are other ways of understanding salvation and the relationship with the divine has resonated with many who feel out of place in traditional narratives. The popularization of books and documentaries on these topics also contributes to increased interest. Social media and streaming platforms facilitate access to information that was previously restricted to academic circles. This allows a wider audience to engage with discussions and embrace the history of Christianity in ways that were not possible before. This democratization of knowledge is one of the main modern repercussions of the rediscovery of banned texts. This search for a deeper understanding of Christianity also creates an environment conducive to interreligious dialogue. As people become more aware of the diversity of interpretations and traditions, the opportunity arises to build bridges between different beliefs. Recognizing that the history of Christianity is rich and complex can help foster a spirit of tolerance and respect among diverse religious communities in the contemporary world. And so, we come to the end of our exploration of the lost gospel, that, according to many, Jesus wanted us all to know, a text so powerful that it was banned by the Vatican. But what did it really contain? Could secrets be capable of shaking the foundations of the Christian faith? Or does the Vatican have more mysteries hiding in the shadows? Imagine if, for a moment, this gospel could change the way you view Jesus and his message. What if there were other apocryphal texts that revealed even more about his life and teachings? What else is hidden from the official story? These questions lead us down an intriguing path. Have you ever stopped to think about how many truths could be hidden? What else can we discover about the relationship between the Church and the writings it chose to silence? In the next videos, we will delve into more theories and mysteries surrounding the figure of Jesus and the role of the Vatican. Stay tuned, and in the meantime, share your opinions in the comments. What do you think is behind these banned documents? Let's unravel these mysteries together.